Today in this video that I'm going to present in YouTube on my channel, is going to be about this topic. This topic is very controversial for all the teachers, yes, and it's mindfulness during quarantine, yes. How difficult it is for the teacher to reach in this point, yes. I mean, how they can feel stress or the opposite, relax, yes, when teaching online. I mean, teaching remotely can be very different and need difference from teaching in the classroom. So let's see some differences. And I'm going to introduce my friend right now. She's Sandra
Hello.
Valencia. So we have been friends for, I don't know, almost how long?
7 years, probably.
7 years. So
2013.
yes. And I thank a lot to my friend because she was the only one that really accepted this, like to explain the info and also to make some suggestions for some teachers, yes. And she also has experience because she's an English teacher, but let's let her talk, yes. So you can introduce yourself, Sandra, and tell us about you.
Oh, hello, everyone. My name is Sandra. I am from Mexico. I'm originally from Villa Flores, Chiapas. I am 29 years old, and I have been living in the U.S. for a year and a half. I moved because I got married, and my husband is from here. I live here in Tucson, Arizona. I am an English teacher. I'm currently working as a fourth grade teacher. Um, I have a group of 18 kids, um, and I teach um, other subjects besides English, but I have a lot of English learners that
So all the subjects you teach online, I mean, they are different ones, or I mean, they differ a lot from each one?
Well, I guess it depends on the school and the state you are in. Like right now in Tucson, there's a lot of Spanish speakers, and there are so many kids that they are born speaking Spanish and they learn English when they go to school. So all the public schools provide with instruction in Spanish. They have different programs. They have dual language program, which they teach 50% in English and 50% in Spanish. They have the SEI or ELD program, which is English Language Development, or also known as a structured English immersion, which is for the kids that are born being Spanish speakers, but they are learning English, but that doesn't mean that they don't speak English.
Okay, so you have monolingual and bilingual.
Yeah, I have a mixed group because I have my English learners, which speak Spanish in English, and they are learning academic Spanish. They are taking everything in English, but they speak Spanish at home. And I also have kids that only speak English, like they are English speakers.
Okay, so
yeah,
I want. Yes, I know. I really want to know. I'm very curious about your experience, and I mean, how difficult has it been for you to teach these kids? Because how old are they? Sorry.
They are around 9, 10.
9, 10 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and how difficult has it been? Because 8 and 9 years old, I mean, they have different backgrounds and they live in different families. Yes. So tell us about it.
So one of the biggest differences was that I was working in a private school there in Mexico before I left, and I was working with third grade preschool kids. So they were really small. They were barely starting to learn how to read and write. So right there, that was the biggest difference because this is a public school. So the background is completely different from having your students, that are all paying for that service. To the expectations are different, from you as a teacher. And then the level, I mean, the age of my kids, that is also another thing. The background, as you said, is really important. Like most of the kids that attend to this public school are kids that are not, at the top of, of how can I say it? Like, I mean, it's not a rich area. So there's a lot of kids that, they have parents that are struggling,
Mm-hmm.
um, with money, that the school has to provide with, sometimes with even clothes and, meals, so they can eat there at school for free. Um,
Okay.
Most of them come from families which is only one dad, only one mom, or the mom got married again, or the mom has, different
Divorced parents.
kids
Okay,
with
they have
different
different.
fathers.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of, you know, you don't see a lot of kids that come from, what we call a traditional family, which is they have the mom, the dad, brothers and sisters, or they are also, in um, places where everyone works and nobody takes care of the kids. So mom works, dad works, and everybody else works, and it's just
Yes,
like
yes,
a,
that's true. I mean, here in Mexico, when I work in middle school, in there was a pretty similar. I mean, pretty much similar to your experience because I learned that. I mean, not all the kids, as you said, they don't come from traditional families or well-to-do families. Like the perfect families in Mexico. You know how the situation is as well here in Mexico.
yeah, yeah.
And but I wonder like how you deal with this, Sandra. I mean, online teaching. How have you been
Well,
dealing
that
with?
was really hard. I mean, and then also, uh, I mean, I am responsible of the group for the whole day. I mean, the school hours are completely different. I would say it's exactly the same time that I used to work for a private school, but it's not the same for a public school there in Mexico. Like you work from the kids need to start their classes at 8:30, and we finish at 2:40. So it's a long time. And since I am the teacher of the group, I have to also teach math. I have to teach science, social studies, and
Oh my God.
so
I didn't know.
yeah, so you have to, keep on going with history and this and that.
Yes.
Since I started when the school year was already um, on, like
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the end of October,
Yes.
like the principal, the assistant principal, and everyone that was, my authorities, you know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, they were really flexible with me.
Oh, that's
Um,
good.
so they were always teaching me, okay, this is how you're gonna do it. This is what you are expected to do. We're gonna lower our expectations because we know that it's not. So this is your first time teaching here in the U.S.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's
yes.
completely different.
Okay.
Also, the group I had, well, yeah, that I started with was not a good group in terms of discipline. The kids started the year with one teacher that wasn't gonna stay, and then they had like different substitute teachers, so they
Yes.
were constantly changing and changing and changing and changing,
So
and
there were no head teachers in there. I
yeah,
mean, just
and the
replacing
last
them.
yeah, and the last teacher they had wasn't doing anything with them. They would just bring, worksheets to color and here, do whatever you want. So discipline was really bad. That was the first thing. Priority number one was classroom management. And I had like three girls that was just, they were really overwhelming, like in terms of, uh, try to make them follow directions and learn and get involved with the class.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of discipline problems right there. Like you just
Okay.
can't imagine. It was just like really exhausting.
Yes, I have watched movies. I have watched some
Yeah, and I
movies.
mean,
Yes.
I had custodials, coming to my classroom looking for the kids because they would just walk out of the classroom. Like if they were kids
Mm.
from high school, for example. So
This is
it was
very common
really,
in the United States. I mean, I didn't know. Really, Sandra, I never expected that you were saying this to me. Like, you have many walk-ups. I mean, since they are young, I mean, at a very young age, they
yeah.
are doing so. Yes, I have watched that in movies, but with adolescents or adults, yes, you know, teenagers, but not kids, you know, and I'm
Yeah.
really surprised.
And I mean, since right here, there are still like, well, in terms of law, like there are some things that teachers cannot do and parents cannot do. And what, like, I guess it's like more, like you need to be more careful on what you do as a teacher because
Yes.
I mean, here you can easily get fired because of something that a kid
Is there
said about.
discrimination, Sandra?
No, I don't think it's that. It's actually because the law is more in the kid's side. Like,
Hmm.
oh, he doesn't want to learn. Oh, that's it.
Probably he has a problem.
I mean, at some point, like as a teacher, you can help, but if you don't
Hmm.
get support from mom, dad, whoever is in charge of that kid, you're
Yeah.
not gonna go far. And like those three kids, like the way we started the year, well, how they started with me, it was a way it ended. So when we transitioned from regular classroom
Yeah.
to online, I mean, from those 18 kids, I would only have at the most, the best days, I would only have like 8 kids
A kids.
at
Okay.
the most. And that
Yes, that's
those were like those were like really lucky days. There were some days that I would only teach 2 or 3. So it was really a struggle, you know, itself
yeah.
to be in the
It's
classroom. And then
frustrating for you.
it is. It is because you try to make, you know, the best you can do, I guess, but
Yes.
it's just really hard because you don't get any response from the kid or the
Yes,
parent.
yes, yes. Okay. They
And
don't.
that is
They have no motivation at all. I mean, they don't have it at home. Yeah.
exactly, everything starts at home, and since they don't have that structure at home, there's nothing a teacher can do. If the kid is not willing to learn, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
So at this moment, it's a very also. I mean, I'm very sad to hear that because I never thought. Well, I had an idea, but I never thought the kids would be this way. But I would like to ask you, Sandra, like you have some photos. You told me you have some photographs, something to show us, like how your experience has been. You can tell us, and we can also watch. Yes, what
yes.
have you been doing? Okay, so
Okay, so
we're gonna
I'm
wait
gonna
for
go
that.
ahead and share my screen so you can see
Yeah, sure.
the presentation that I made
So
for
Sandra is
you.
very formal. So she told me I'm gonna do a presentation, and she did it.
All right, so this is what I did. I tried to be like really short and just summarize everything. But but I don't have a lot of pictures with my kids. I didn't take any pictures from my classes, but I do have one group picture that they
Okay.
take every
Mm-hmm.
year. So I was lucky to have one. So yeah, another teacher sent it to me because we
Oh
just
my God.
our picture taken in February and we were out of school in March.
And
So
they look so sweet. I mean, they don't look like
yeah, it was a
rebels.
challenging group, but I was really proud that by March, I would say in 80% of the kids were
Wow.
actually into our routine, working, trying. I mean, they didn't have a good level. I always struggle because the expectations that the content I need to teach them is like this, and what they know it's like this. Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
every year they can just get to where they are supposed to be. So there's a lot of things that they don't know, and
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
that's too much. So this is well my fourth grade group, 18 kids. At that time, I had 21. One of them moved, And the other
Uh-huh.
two, they were moved to another class that had the dual language program. They
Mm-hmm.
knew Spanish, and the parents decided to have, classes both English and Spanish. This is
Mm-hmm.
the logo of my school. It's called Hollinger, KA. It's part of the Tucson Unified School District. Uh,
Okay, I got it. Mm-hmm.
so here we are in the library. So, um, okay, so this is how we transition from the classroom to online.
Yeah.
Well, there was like a lot of confusion because um, when we went for some spring break, that was March 13, I think. Yeah, that was the last day of school for us.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And then the next week, we were going to have our regular spring break, which was going to be 1 week.
Okay.
And then we were going to be back the next week. So, um, when all these pandemic just like came, and everybody
Merge.
was
Yes.
just
Yeah.
like, what's going to happen, before we that spring break week ended, our governor, the governor of Arizona, decided to delay the school coming back. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, at that time we didn't know what was going to happen, if it was going to be just a delay. So we just waited, and probably a couple of days later, he said that he was gonna like pause school, like
Send
not,
us to
yeah, like
lockdowns.
we were gonna have, I would say not an official lockdown, but they said, okay, school is not coming back on that date. So we are gonna be pushing the day depending on how everything goes. Of
Okay.
course, nothing gets better. So by the end of March, we were getting emails from our district to say, okay, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to transition to online school. And what we're going to be doing right now is we want you to be, checking your emails constantly. They started to get different professional development courses, so we could go into our system, into our website, and we can just
Mm-hmm.
take them. Most of them were just like this format, Zoom meeting, and they were teaching us on how to use like different apps that
Mm-hmm.
we already have in our school, and
Okay.
different tools. Like our school has a system. This is a website that is called Clever. All the district has that system, and whenever we are working on our computers in our classroom or in our computer lab, like the kids are given work to do on math and English language arts, and they are always online taking quizzes and exercises to practice like specific topics.
Yeah.
So what they
Uh-huh.
said was, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to use the same website. So we're going to have kids log into that website, and you are going to be in charge of monitoring all the apps. You're going to be in charge of putting the apps you're going to need.
Yeah.
Uh, the main app that it's already done there for us
Mm-hmm.
is the one that is related to the book that we have in class,
Yeah.
um, and English language arts and math. So that was the first step, getting all the teachers, the tools to learn how to use all these websites and apps. Once we got to know, they said, okay, we are going to start communicating this information to all the teachers. We're going to start communicating this information to all the parents. So they start, getting into our district website, and I just put it there, the district website. Um, and the parents were supposed to get into the website and making sure that they were checking updates from changes that they were going to be making, and how they were going to be logging into Clever, how they were going to be using their emails, because the kids have their emails, but they didn't know how to use it, especially the little ones. Um, they also got they require us to have what we call office hours,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
those were gonna be like, you know, like our class is, it was gonna be 1 hour per day. I chose mine from 10 to 11 a.m. from Monday to Friday. And at that time, I was gonna be meeting with my kids, talking to them, making sure they were working, they were doing this. At the beginning, it was mostly for that, to be checking on them. Okay, if you are struggling with something, this is the time that the teacher is gonna have um, for you. Okay, so but the district also got prepared, uh, since they uh, knew that not all the kids were going to have a laptop.
Computer
Each,
access. Well, access to
uh,
internet as well, I
yeah,
think, right?
yes, they thought, okay, we are going to give an option for the people that can afford computers, that can afford internet,
Mm-hmm.
and they designed like a booklet with activities according to their levels, according to their
Mm-hmm.
grades, according to
Mm-hmm.
their programs, so they could be working at home.
Okay.
Now, they were with that for maybe like 2 3 weeks, but then they realized that most of the kids were not going to do this because they knew that this was not going to be graded. So the governor of Arizona decided that since all the schools were moving to online teaching,
They need
that
computers.
the last the last period was not going to be graded, and then
Okay.
two, that the districts were going to have to buy computers to provide the kids that didn't have computers. Also, there's an internet company that was gonna be offering um, like some kind of plan, like a cheaper plan, so they could start getting internet. And I guess, I don't know if they were gonna modify it or not, but at least to start working on um, their online classes. So they were giving like more options, and we also were gonna have like a really like a state examinations on April. So they said that since the schools were closing, um, we were not gonna have those test examinations, and that we were gonna be forgiving for this school year, so the kids didn't have to take it, and there was not, like any consequence because they didn't take it. They canceled all that. So the district also prepared like in a specific curriculum for us and for the kids that couldn't log in into the computer for whatever reason. They didn't have computers, or they couldn't, whatever. They would just log in into the district website and then access to the curriculum, and then they facilitate this like PDFs where by subject there was like a list of activities to do per week. So, but that, I mean, at least for my kids, that would demand help from parents. And there were some parents that were still
Yes.
working, and there were some parents that were not working, but still they weren't helping the kids to, do all these activities.
Yeah.
So it was hard to have the kids, all the kids involved, because they knew that they were not going to be graded. And
Mm-hmm.
all we were going to be doing for the last period was in their final paper, there was just going to be final comments, but not grades. So it was easier for some of the kids to say, oh, I can, then
I'm
I
gonna
won't do
skip
it.
classes. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So when I started my online classes, I was checking on what they knew, teaching them how to use their emails, how to log in into the platform, how to use the apps that we have in our platform.
Oh my God.
And I told them I didn't have like a lot of things on the platform, because I told them I want you to see it as simple as you can, so you don't get confused. And I just want you keep practicing these things. Now, the curriculum that the district prepare it has new topics, but since we only had an hour per day, that was not enough for us to go through the whole topic or to check on, oh, did you understand that,
Yes, of
or
course.
can we reteach that? We didn't have the chance.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I know.
I used that curriculum to working in my class every day, but I would adapt it and I would only use the topics that I would think would be not as extensive, the topics that for my kids wouldn't be as hard, and I'll give them some practice. But I didn't use everything, and since not
Mm-hmm.
all of them were logging into our Zoom meetings, it was kind of hard.
Yes.
So there was a constant monitoring thanks to that website, Clever. They were modifying the website. So the last time that we used it, well, the very last week of the school year,
Yeah.
which was May 22nd, that was the last day. Um, we were seeing like a lot of changes. Like at the beginning, we would just see which kids were logging in, so I could send emails to their parents. Hey, thanks for working at home. I was constantly emailing the parents. Okay, this is what you need to do this week. I would also download that PDF with the curriculum for the week, and I will send it to the parents. So for them, to have it on their email. But there were parents that were not replying to my emails. They were not checking emails. I would always send in reminders. Hey, remember our Zoom meeting is every day at 10 a.m. But still, so there was a way for me to check which kids were logging into the platform. There
Mm-hmm.
were there were like different apps that will tell me, how much they work. There were apps that were actually, telling me as a teacher, okay, this kid finished their activity, this kid is staying this question, or this kid hasn't logged in at all. Um, so that was a good way for me to be monitoring them. Uh, and also I would see, the kids that were coming every day, I would actually see, okay, this is what you're doing. Every week we would have like an email where I would send the top 5 kids that were working in a specific app. They have the IXL website, which is English language arts, science, math, and they always taking quizzes and exercises. I would make a top 5 and I'll send it. Congratulations to the top 5 that were working the most. They answered this amount of questions. They were with this amount of exercises.
So the
I
ones who were not, sorry for interrupting, but the ones who didn't attend to your classes, so they will only receive final comments, or what's going to happen to them?
Well, as a teacher, I thought, okay, I'm just gonna put a comments to everybody, no matter if they worked or they didn't work. But you can tell the comments that are, really specific and really personalized for the kids that were actually working.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I can tell, like, for example, I wrote to a kid that was constantly attending to the Zoom meetings and working on the assignments and the exercises, readings, and everything. I would say, okay, thank you very much for your effort since you were attending to the school meetings, to the Zoom classes, for your everyday work. You improve this way. You need to work on this, and you can notice the comments of the kids that didn't log in at all. I would say like, uh, I want to be really kind, and I just said, for whatever reason they didn't log in, I just said thank you for your support at home. That's it. And you can tell the difference between those comments and the other kids' comments. Like, I saw some kids that were improving their reading skills, that were learning different things because of the quizzes they were taking, because of the activities they were um, going through.
Mm,
So
yes.
you can tell as a teacher, okay, this kid was working really hard, this kid didn't.
Yes.
And
Well, pretty different. I mean, the
yeah,
experiences we have. I mean, I understand the situation. I mean, this is like nothing depends on you. It depends on the
Yeah.
school. Also, the situation in there, as you were saying, the families and the parents, which is
Yeah,
pretty different from here. I mean, not here. I mean, Mexico, we have, similar situations. But in my case, I wanted to show and present Sandra here in this session that how different, yes, our situations can be. And I never asked you like how the situation is there. But then I was really surprised. Yes, by the things you were telling us. And my experience is right now totally different because all the students I have, of course, they study in private schools and they have pretty good experience with teachers, yes, and but also the crisis here, it's like collapsing, the schools are collapsing as well, not having classes, online teaching for some teachers, believe me, Sandra, it's really frustrating. I have seen it on Facebook. I have also seen the lack of privacy using Zoom, for example, with some schools that I don't know why they use Zoom, because they are like big schools. I mean, they would be using another type of system, but still there's lack of privacy because there's someone accessing to the session or
yeah, and that was an issue there in our district when we started doing that. But
mm-hmm.
what happened is that the district bought the service. So now we're using Zoom through our accounts that are provided by the district. So that made it like a little bit more private for the
Yeah.
kids. And actually, they modify the process to log in for the kids. Like before, the kids we were just like, okay, as long as they would have the invite and the password, that was it. Um, and I understand the side of working with kids, it should be private, but at the same time for the parents that were actually like making an effort to have their kids every day, they would struggle with the changes that were constantly being made because they needed to have more security. So they added like a couple of steps, like, okay, you need to provide your email account from the district, and you need to say sign one time only, and then provide your password that you use at school. So
Mm-hmm.
all these different filters that they would use in order to make it more secure, but
Yeah,
at the
so
same
cool.
time it was like a really big struggle for the parents. Like I would have my Zoom meeting going on right here, and I was like on the phone with a parent that, teacher, please help me because I cannot log in. Like I'm having trouble and I'm here sending messages. Okay, this is what you should see,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
it's pretty
struggle.
different. I mean, I'm really, well, I'm not surprised, but I'm like quite afraid afraid of the situation happening to you, because I mean, those are the situations that make us stronger, like to be really good teachers. Yes, because the easy situations don't make us. Yes, so you know that this kind of situations you have to find the solution strategies. So to close this, Sandra, what would you suggest to some teachers to do? Because you have had, as you have mentioned, you have had so many problems. I mean, many things to deal with. And how would you suggest some teachers in Mexico? I mean, what can we do? I mean, should we just relax, or just get frustrated, but then, okay, I'm going back to my session, but it doesn't matter, I only have 5 kids, then I go back to work, or I get back to something else, an activity at home? What would you suggest, Sandra?
I guess my suggestion would be based on the pros and cons that I made, reflecting on my experience that I had. So the good things about teaching online was that there's so many resources that were great, awesome. I love them, and they were like, oh my god, it facilitates our job. It makes the kids have fun. I had
Yeah.
kids that were like, oh my god, I'm loving this reading app, and I was like so happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they can use interactive tools and games to learn, that's awesome. You know, as long as you are setting your roles before, because I had some experiences where the kids were like, okay, I just want to play, but I don't want to learn. But it's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. To have our rules before we start. And then all the tools that the apps provide to see your students' answers, your students' result on diagnosis tests and things like that. Oh my God, that was so cool, because then you can tell, okay, this is what this kid needs to be working on, and this is what this kid needs. So it's really awesome to see it that easy, because then it's just faster for you as a teacher to know what you are supposed to be doing.
Yes, and just with a click, in some schools we don't have that technology. I mean, we wish we could be at home and teach from there. I mean, in my case, because I was really frustrated with some schools that they didn't have anything available, or they didn't have, the facilities, as you said, to facilitate data analysis, yes, but that the kids could see their results, their games results, yes, something, yes, to interact with them, yes, you are very right.
I mean, there were some kids that started with this amount of points in the questions, and they went like this, and I mean, they didn't went from here to here, but at least they are growing up, So that is the most awesome part. So if teachers have these awesome tools, make a good use of that, take advantage of that, and try to use as much as you can. Try to take all these to your advantage to make your classes more interactive, more fun for the kids, for your students.
Okay.
But I know that there's not the same situation for everyone, so I'm gonna tell you about my cons. So for me, like, less than 50% of the students were completely involved. So that means that if you are not having the response you would like to have, just relax and try to think that you are just doing your best. There are some situations that are not in our hands.
Exactly, yes.
So I guess just to try.
Out of our reach, totally.
Yeah. So whatever the number of students you're having, just work the best you can with them. Technology required, not available for everyone. So at least I was really happy that some of the kids started having Zoom meetings on their phones. And when they knew that they were gonna get laptops, they went there to school, and it was so much better to do it on the computer. And I was so glad that they went and pick up a computer. But I also found out about other kids that they went to the pickup to the laptop distribution, and they never log in. So I know that for some people it's not going to be, they are not going to have the same resources available. So try to work whatever works best. And I know it's hard to adapt to everybody's students, but just taking into consideration that there are some kids that really want to learn, and they are going to tell you, oh, I mean, I can do it, but what if I do it on paper and then I send it to you? Just adapt your expectations, adapt some of your activities if your kids are willing to actually, like, hey, I want to work. Doesn't matter what I have, but I just want to keep practicing, keep learning.
Yes.
So you should be able to be like more like flexible in those cases, right?
Yes.
And another con is that there was not enough time to cover all the content. So try to just summarize whatever is the most important things. Try to have, I know there are so many things that we need to teach, but just try to summarize it and try to, okay, this is what they will need probably next year. That's a good thing to keep on mind.
Yeah.
The parents' availability. Well, relax if the parents are not, willing to help their kids to learn. Either help them to do homework, or either help them to get into, whatever teaching online website they have to log in.
Yes.
sadly, we don't have the same kind of parents. And I love the parents that are really
Do
involved
something.
with kids. And I mean, they are even texting you every 5 minutes because they want to do
I
it.
know this. Yes, this
But
motivate us. I mean, this is the other side, right?
yeah,
Of this teaching.
so I mean that's worth it to be, like telling them, okay, this and that. But if you are really seeing that they are trying, that feels really good. So don't
Okay.
get stressed if the parents are not available there to help you. Just try to make the best out of what you have. And the
Mm-hmm.
students respond affected. That was another con that I noticed, that my kids were not as natural as they were when we were in the classroom. They were really shy. They didn't want to participate. So I kept on telling them, hey, I would say like a joke from time to time or something. Oh, or I would usually talk about my cat with my kids. There was one time that at the end of the class, I told them, "Hey, I'm gonna show you my cat," so they could just relax and distract. And okay, I know this is different for everybody, and it doesn't feel the same like having your real teacher in person, but try to relax. This is not for me to be judging you or what you do or where you are.
Exactly. Yes.
So just relax and I mean enjoy the experience because this is not gonna be like that all the time.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, it changed a lot the way we think we sorry the way we do things. Yes, that was a
Yeah.
topic of one of my
Yeah.
webinars today.
So
You're
as you
right.
said, the biggest step would be just work with whatever you have, make the best of it, and yeah, try to keep like um like this motivation to teach them
Mm-hmm.
uh, according to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to go over the top if the situation is not letting
Or
you do it.
I'll do things also because that
Yeah, because
makes us
then
feel stress.
that's gonna be draining energy out of you. You're gonna be
Exactly.
super worried and you're gonna be
Yes.
stressed out, and
Yes.
there's nothing good coming out of that.
Yes, Sandra.
So
So
yeah, that would be the biggest thing. Just relax, enjoy the moment, and
yes, I like everything you presented because I also have like the other side with some tips. I don't know if you were to present something else, Sandra, or to have
no,
something else. Okay,
that's
now
it.
it's my turn to share my screen.
Okay.
Basically, what we're doing here, guys, it's what Sandra said is very true. I mean, that's the real world. Yes, it's not fantasy. Yes, as teachers, we have to cope with many things. But let me explain to you. I mean, um, so I have here a map. So I'm just gonna explain my map. I don't know if you see it, Sandra. So
I
it's,
do.
okay, sorry. I was supposed only to show this. Okay, so this is basically all the things that we have to take into consideration, as Sandra said. But why not doing it in a formal way, like do a map to have like an organization, yes? And mindfulness, sorry, emerges when we already organize things, yes? I mean, mentally, yes, not just do it physically but mentally. And that's like metacognition, when we start to really work out our thoughts, or I don't know what we want to do, what we want to get rid of. I mean, to organize things. Yes. So we have here best practices for teaching online, and I'm going to ask you like to give me your opinion, of course, for each one. But I'm going to summarize this, not to make it so long. So we have this instructor presence. So of course, yes, we need instructors there because then we have to establish teaching presence early and often, as you said, Sandra. Yes, post announcements, appear in video, participate in discussions. This is basically what I do when my students don't want to, basically because they say, oh, teacher, it's raining. So I'm not gonna be able to take the class. There's so much air. So I'm like, come on. Come on, it's only because it's raining or you are lazy to take the class today, yeah? So I record all my classes. I mean, the classes that they cannot attend, physically, or live videos. Show your personality, passion, and expertise. This is something that I noticed from you, Sandra. Now that you are talking and sharing your experience, you are showing your personality, what kind of teacher you are. Yes, because you are like, okay, I'm not totally relaxed. I'm worried about my students, but I'm going to show all the evidence. These 5 students were the ones, yes, that really participated, went there always, and the others, that's it's out of my reach. I cannot make it alone. Yes, I need someone else to help me. In this case, the school, yes, or parents. In this case, the main role is for parents, yes. And we have the clear expectations. If we go to the second box, help students dive straight into the content by providing them with detail and syllables, due dates and schedules, and clear assignment directions. I mean, I think you did it, Sandra. I mean, you were mentioning that you did it all the time. You adapted to it, yeah, according to the curriculum that you mentioned before. I mean, you adapted to it, to all your classes, and detailed syllables. If the parents don't know what we're going to cover in 2 months, 3 months, of course, everything is going to be lost, right? The learning objectives, it's another thing, Sandra. It has to be aligned with the content. Yes, I mean, there are some teachers, of course, that at some point they lose the track because there's frustration in them, but they don't have like the course content specifically. Yes, they want to cover more than they should. Yes, and that's a problem. That's a problem because we have to think about the students that they cannot, maybe, well, in my case, I have students who work so during the week, and they only have the weekends to study. So I have to think about them, how to make them be involved, yes, in my class, or how to get them involved with all the activities that I have to do. Yes, don't get them like don't give them too much work or too many activities during the week. That helps a lot. That works for me. Yes, because extra content not directly supporting the learning, as it says, objectives is removed or made optional. You have optional things there posted. For example, I use a platform and I post things, but I say my students, sorry, you don't have to do this, but if you want to do it, you're going to learn this, and this. Okay, I set the objectives of each activity, and then if they want to do it, they do it. But if they don't, you just do the things that are mandatory. Yes. So then we have the real world applications. Sandra, can you help me to read it?
Sure. Real world applications motivate students by making a real world connection. Show students how they will apply that what they are learning.
When you said this is this is what you said, Sandra. I mean, you were teaching your kids how to log in and out. Yes, the apps. They don't know. They are kids, of course, and the parents sometimes they say, "No, this is like frustrating me." But I'm like, I come up with a question: how can you use a cell phone and not learning to use an app or something for
It's
your
really
kids?
simple.
So you're like, relax. Okay, I'm gonna teach. I'm gonna send a mini video teaching them how to do it. But the parents, because the kids are smarter, my kids are smarter. I mean, they teach the parents how to do it. Yes, and they are really, really intelligent. I mean, they are clever. Yes, they are clever. We have also another point here from feedback, providing feedback to improve student outcomes, to reinforce important materials, concepts, and skills. Provide timely feedback students can apply during the course. How will you make this, Sandra? I mean, how would you take this as a piece of advice?
Well, I would always be giving my kids feedback. Like, for example, like I would have my activity during my Zoom class, and then I will say, okay, this is what you're expected to do after we finish our Zoom class. I'm gonna be checking who finishes first, who does it, and who don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, I would always have a time for me to show them hey, this is what I see as a teacher. This is what I see. Okay, this person took the quiz, but here it says that it took 5 minutes to do the quiz. So what does that is telling me? That you just took the quiz just because I told you to do it and really fast. And you are not actually reflecting on what you're supposed to be reflecting.
Mm-hmm.
You are not reading and you are not trying to find the answers to the questions to the quiz. You're just doing it in a rush. So
Yes, yes, yes.
that would be a feedback for everybody. When I noticed that somebody was getting, like a higher score on the quizzes, then I would say, oh, this person took this last quiz and that person improved by 20%. So congratulations. I
Yeah.
think that the feedback should be always like, okay, whatever you need to tell them. If it's a negative thing, you should make it into, okay, you need to work on this. If it's a positive thing, show it off, because then your kids are going to be like, oh my god, the teacher noticed, right?
Yes.
So
Man, always rewards. Okay, I'm like trying to speak German right now. Rewards for them. But yes, and also appropriate time, to choose the appropriate time when to give them feedback. The synchronous feedback and the asynchronous feedback that we have. I'm using the platforms when they are not physically with me, but I'm using my personality, my gestures, my movements to tell them you're doing great. You're doing great. Like motivating them would be my tool all the time. Yes. Also, I have looked for some interactive activities, Sandra, and there are many of them. I mean, for free. Yes. Right now that we are going through the quarantine, we have many tools and apps for free from Google, and especially the ones that are American ones. Yes, of course. That's why I was wondering that you would mention some. You mentioned the one Clever, right? That's a system from your
yeah,
school. Yeah.
yeah.
In my case, I had to pay for some of them. I honestly don't like the free apps because they have like other functions or other things to offer, but you cannot use them, of course. Yes. And me
Mhm.
for like Google Meet, and I try to adapt the apps that are appropriate for my students. If the student needs more, I give them more. If the student is like, I just want to work with this too because that's enough for me, I do it. So this is adapting our material to them, right? So we have this engage students, quality interaction between students is a sign of a successful class, which is not for you, Sandra, that you mentioned that your kids, I mean, only 5 kids. How many you have, sorry, Sandra? I
In
forgot.
total, I have 18.
18, imagine in only 5. Yes, I mean, there's no quality interaction between them. But between you and them, of course, there is quality of interaction. Create educational experiences for students that are challenging, enriching, and that extend their academic abilities. We know that. Provide students with opportunities to interact with peers, such as through discussions in group. Of course, we can do it online. I'm sure, and I believe so. I mean, I'm very like into technology. I'm not a teacher who I always complain about going to school and have to use things that are offered in schools. So for me, it work a lot or so much better working online with my kids. They can see what I do, but also they can rate themselves. I taught them how to do it. You cannot imagine, Sandra, how many tutorials I have to send them because they need to know how to use this app, how to grade themselves, how to assess them, how to see if there's a mistake in the app or if there's a mistake in the sentence, how to identify it. So I need to do so for them, and then they can do it alone, right? And teach for online students, orient students to the online course. This is another phase, yes, of the quarantine. That's why we are going through this. Break learning into smaller chunks, establish a pattern or activity and due dates, yes? If we don't establish patterns of these activities, the kids are like this. I mean, they will lose the track or they will forget next day. Yes, they will say, teacher, but yesterday you said so, and today we're doing a different thing. Yes. I mean, they start asking. That's when my kids also ask me, I mean, are we doing the same or are we doing something different? Because I want to learn more about this, but with something different. And then you find new things. You find new things because they teach you. In my case, kids teach me. Yes, kids teach me because they come up with so many new things. They describe also their expectations for online participation, communication. They say, Pepito, Dario, I mean, they didn't participate, teacher. I mean, and we have to make them talk, teacher. I mean, there's one activity that I watched yesterday, and we watch movies. Why not watching movies online? I mean, the short ones, and for example, Zootopia. I watched Zootopia with my kids, and there were like highlighted words in there. They learn some attitudes with Zootopia movie. That's a very different way to teach, and that was fun for me. Yes, and describe and also provide technical support information. That's what I mentioned before, Sandra, that I have to make tutorials for them to learn also. I mean, I cannot tell them, tomorrow you will get the link and access to it, and go to YouTube and do it. I mean, learn how to do it. I cannot do that. Yes, you know, for kids it's not the same. But otherwise, I mean, otherwise with adolescents, teenagers, and adults, that makes my work easier as they are learning for different purposes. Yes. But this is basically, Sandra, what my presentation is about. I mean, everything you mentioned, this is what we have to do to improve, right? To have a very effective, yes, online course, because this is an online course. Let's see it that way, that this is an online course. Well, and this was everything, Sandra, and for the people who are going to watch this, I want to share this with Sandra, that I'm very happy that Sandra accepted like to do this presentation, also because she's one of my best friends, but she's like the top one.
Me too.
She's my best friend. I mean, in distance learning, we are doing this. I mean, we are learning from something new because we are sharing our experiences. Yes, I'm learning from Sandra, but also I'm quite sure that Sandra was learning something from me. Yes. So I'm really happy about it. I mean, Sandra is one of my good friends, and she's now like, I mean, she looks happy. Yes, that's like, I was very surprised because she looked happy all the time, and she's a very happy person. I'm sure that all the classes were like fun, even though she had 4 kids or 5 kids. I mean, all the classes were like that, but we cannot do more. Yes, just relax, teachers, because this the topic was like mindfulness during quarantine. So that means relax. You don't have to post things saying, I have to grade this 15 essays. What should I do? And I'm eating this. No, don't do those negative things, okay? Don't do those negative, or don't post everything in a negative way. Why? I mean, I only post on my Facebook positive things. I never say, oh, these students don't understand that they have to do it like in English, not in Spanish, or translating words into Spanish. So that's not the purpose. And I have seen not only in one teacher. I know that all the teachers, because they get frustrated, they have stress, also the money. I mean, there are a lot of things. But if the money is not equal to what you're doing, you have to keep the balance, just like these teachers. Yes. And I don't know if Sandra's gonna say something else, just like to say goodbye, because
Well, I'm very glad to be here as your guest. Thank you very much for taking me into consideration to be invited to this like sharing experiences forum or video meeting. I was really glad to share my experience and tell you guys about how everything goes, somewhere else, because it's completely different to what I was used to. I mean, there are some cool stuff, but yeah, so you can see you're not the only one. So don't feel bad if there are some moments where you just can't deal with this.
we're here to support
So
us.
yeah, so just try to enjoy um all the opportunities that you have to learn, because this is a learning opportunity. There were some things that you didn't think you were gonna do, but because of this pandemic, we were forced to move on and learn on different things and do different things that we were not doing before. So just enjoy your time. Just make sure that you're having a specific time to work, to help your students, to do your best, and also have your own time where you can just watch a movie, relax, forget about work, and everything is gonna be okay. And thank you very much for inviting
Yes,
me.
Sandra, I'm going to say goodbye right now. So don't forget, guys. I know I'm starting my way into YouTube. I'm going to upload this video for you to watch it and rewatch it and see this map. Also, Sandra's experience. It's really important. I mean, some people say, it's the same here. No, it's not the same. Yes, she's sharing a different experience, and we never know what kind of kids. I mean, how they are being raised, yes, and the different backgrounds that they have. Currently, there are many situations to deal with as teachers. We are not only
Yes.
teachers, we're also psychologists and, I don't know, mentors.
Yeah,
And
we're forced to do that too.
now I understand, like teachers, of course, at university, but still it was university. But now we're coping and we are dealing with kids and different kids, yes, and we have this both sides, yes, with you, Sandra, and me. I mean, it's certainly different for sure, but thank you so much, Sandra.
Thank
Okay,
you.
okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna stop this right now. Okay.